Hello and welcome to the show. We are here today on BeamNG Drive at the Proving Ground circuit with some more vehicles being driven till destruction. And we start with a Legron, but not a usual one. This is the kind of like demo derby banger racing style vehicle. This is an official car from the game. This isn't a mod one, which is pretty cool to have. It's an estate car, which is always a bonus, and it's even in the right colour scheme in some ways. So hopefully it should be good and not end up upside down too much, I guess. I'd expect a derby car to be relatively strong around here. I think this is front-wheel drive, if I remember rightly. So that's maybe a little... well, that's a bigger problem. The oil pan has gone immediately. I would have expected this to be stronger than that. I'm going to be honest with you. In fact, the widgeon was stronger than this. I mean, the hay bale was a bit weird, but the widgeon was better than this in terms of like engine survivability. That's an alarming. That's a concern. So the engine is going to die. I don't know how long it's going to take for the lack of oil to, I guess, seize the engine up. I imagine that would be what would kill it. If all the oil has gone, I mean, it's lost a fair amount. As I said, it'll run for a little while, but how long it's going to run, I don't know. We'll head into the spinners first time, no problem at all, of course. Yeah, that's not what I was not expecting that to let go in this car. The fuel tank in the kind of passenger-ish seat area, I believe it is. Well, that'd be quite difficult to break. Not impossible, but it'd be quite difficult to break. Up towards the big jump. Yeah, the engine's going to be starved of oil. I can't do anything about it. Oh, going to go a little nose first into the ground, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, the rest of the vehicle is pretty solid. Now, being front-wheel drive, there is always a concern over multiple laps. It is probably going to snap one of the front wheels off. That's the biggest sort of point of failure with the front-wheel drive cars. We'll lose a front wheel, then we'll lose drive, basically. And steering as well that will go with it. The Legron is pretty strong. It's a very tough basic vehicle, if you like. I'm kind of leaving it in second. I feel like maybe leaving it in second is better than revving the absolute crap out of it in first and not going all that much far. I feel like we're at a point that's very much at the transition between first and second, and I'm probably better off just leaving it in second and trundling around like this. I mean, the radiator's still in one piece. That's a good sign. Head up towards the final jump. I mean, we're not going to be the worst positioned car on this leaderboard, that is for sure. That's a big jump. Car, are you going to come back down onto your wheels? No, we're going to have to do a little bit of node grabber. Oh, God. Node grabber is apparently stronger than I realised. Right, let's go and continue onwards. The oil is over. Well, I thought the oil had all gone. I thought that was the problem. Maybe it's only a very small oil pan failure. It seems to be flashing up every so often, so maybe it's not all completely... Maybe not all the oil has piddled out of it immediately. It might be a very slow drain, if you like, on there. I mean, that would be better. There's no fixing it. You know, it's going to be a problem for the vehicle. Yeah, so speed like 35 miles an hour. You're definitely kind of wanting second. Will the engine just go bang? With the oil draining out of it? Well, it wouldn't go bang. I think it would just... Well, I guess maybe it could. It just stop working. It'll just all seize. Why we stopped steering? We lost some steering on this car? I didn't think we were going that fast. Oh, yeah, the engine's going to go pop soon. The rod bearings are gone. Into the spinners we head. It definitely didn't feel like it wanted to turn left then. Which makes me wonder if we bent something in the steering. Not that that's of massive concern here, really. It feels like it's I mean, I'm flat out down here, and all the power has evaporated from the car. Not completely, but largely. I know the engine's starved of oil. There's not much we can do about that one, unless we want to make a pit stop and top up the oil. Not something you can do in this game. Oh, we come crashing back down onto our wheels. I mean, it is still running, unfortunately for the car. The only way I'm really getting any movement now is just to leave it in first. Temperature is actually going up considerably, and this is not with a busted radiator. So that's, again, it's all the least of our problems, really. Now there goes the radiator. Well, I mean, that would do it in anyway. It would overheat. It's definitely not going to be keeping itself cool enough around here as we head up towards the start-finish line. It's still just about within the crawler rule. It's still staying above that 20 miles an hour. It's going to overheat very quickly. The combination of all the oil escaping and now all the water, it's not good. All the fluids have escaped. The only thing left is fuel. Engine torque is reduced. I think engine is dying is the better way of summing this up. I tried to put it into first. Oh, the engine's all gone. Try to put it into first to get some sort of movement, and now it's all gone. It has all died. That engine is locked up. That is not going to go anywhere. Can I use gravity to get it down towards the crescendo jump? I mean, yeah. Yes, we can. I mean, I can try and start the engine, but it isn't going to work. No. Nope. There is nothing at all going on there. It's just going to coast its way down the hill. We might get it down towards the first corner. It might get stuck on the jump. Oh, okay, no, it made it over the jump. Okay, we'll continue to roll our way. It'll probably die somewhere in the speed bumps, but you know, you've got to make the most of any gravity assistance you can get here. Come on, car. You're going to sneak it onto another lap. Just about. Come on, if we can just get over this crest towards... Oh, towards turn 1. We can keep rolling it. Is it going to die? I think it's come to a halt. There. Yeah. It's gone. It's dead. Interestingly, the graphic isn't saying the engine is red, but I can click on the start button and it doesn't do anything. Okay, I wasn't quite expecting that. The Legron sort of banger racing demo derby car. Its first bump took the oil pan out, and that was the end of that. Up next, we have got a Subaru. This is the SVX, which we don't see all that often, but there is a mod for it in Beam, and it's going to have a go around the proving ground second. I don't know why it is, the distance indicator is all manners of broken. This is doing weird things. It might have a rather funky distance. By the end of this, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, that's not fun across turn 1. Or the speed bumps after turn 1, I should say. Well, we will unleash the Subaru and see what happens. Now, this is the all-wheel drive version of the car. It's a fairly quick car. I mean, it's not ridiculously stiff, sporty suspension, but it's not exactly an off-roader, this. So, little concern, I guess, for the wheels. All-wheel drive is nice, certainly, to have. It means if we lose a wheel, if we lose drive in one place, we'll still be able to keep moving. Now, this mod, I don't think will have oil pan damage. I don't know, though. Ooh, I don't know how it will work with the vehicles. It might depend if the engine used bits from a base model car. I don't know, essentially. We may see it, we may not on some of this. But... I mean, most vehicles have run around here without the oil pan being a thing to consider, so it's probably actually fairer with this car more than anything else. Oh, we're going to get through there. It is a weird thing to drive this. It's kind of surprisingly oversteery. Like, we'll bobble our way around, and then... we drive around normally, and then just the back end almost snaps and lets go, which is odd for a sensibly powered all-wheel drive machine. Up over the shafted jump for the first time, and there is no problems at all for the Subaru. We can, no, not really slide, so we can slide it around on the dirt. We can kind of, if the gearbox decides to put it in the right gear at the right time, which is not the cleverest auto box in the world. Come on, up over Dover we head. No concerns this time around. So radiator would be a concern with this car. It's got quite a long nose. I feel like the front end is going to smack the floor quite a lot around here. So yeah, we could well see a radiator go. The exhaust has gone first. That will, I say, just make it louder. I can't actually hear very much from this car's engine. Sometimes Beam is a funny old game with volume. Some cars are deafeningly loud. Some cars are very, very quiet. Ooh, it's all sorts of wiggling going on down there. So yeah, I can't actually hear much of what's going on with this car. Distance does seem to be working about normal now. I don't know why it was going up so much when we were stationary. Oh dear. I got all sorts of out of shape. Which is weird. We'll clatter our way across the speed bumps. Across the tabletop jumps we go. Nothing too bad there. Surprised the radiators survived this, actually. We have some cars that have got very, very tough radiators, for sure. But this is not the sort of vehicle you expect to have an incredibly strong radiator. So it's doing well so far. We'll bobble our way across here. Oh, it doesn't like that section very much. Just wants to go sideways. Oh, and it wants to change up gear the second it starts sliding around. Oh dear. Feels like it could be a lot of fun with a manual gearbox, which I feel is about accurate for the real car. I'd actually seen one for sale a while ago that had a manual conversion. I think it's I say a common thing, but it's a thing that is done with the SVXs. But yeah, this is what we got in the Beam. Oh, yeah, it feels like it's really eager to go sometimes. Whenever it's in the right gear, it feels quite fast, but most of the time it's in the wrong gear. Oh, that speed bump is horrible. Is that bent? No. For a second I thought it bent something in the rear wheel because it felt like the car was tracking in a weird way, but it's sorted itself out now. It's a little fast, actually, up the jump. We don't really want to be going 70. You'll get away with 70 with most cars on the landing there. Oh no, something has gone on with the rear left. Rear left wheel is towing in quite a lot, isn't it? Okay. I mean, a little bit of tracking damage is fine. We've driven cars in a lot worse state than that. We've driven cars with wheels missing and everything, so a small bit of tracking damage isn't, you know, a death sentence just yet. The problem is, what you're likely to see is once you start taking little bits of damage like that, it kind of just gets worse and worse. It kind of amplifies, and yeah, it's not going to stay as a little bit of damage for all that long. Spoiler, is it going to filling off? I think it's wedged itself kind of in the boot. Temperature gauge, I mean, it's up to like a normal operating temperature. Some cars can overheat, can get very warm just by normal driving. Depends if the radiators are good enough, basically. Oh, yeah, okay, so it's, oh dear, it's very funky to drive at times. It's really unpredictable, this car. I think it's it always feels like it's a combination of the gearbox and the alignment damage. It's like if it's at a point where it suddenly gets a bit of a power kick, or the gearbox has left it in a lower gear for a while, it just snaps around on you when you're not expecting it. You don't get a huge amount of control. So what tyres is this thing on? The front tyres are slicks? And the rear tyres are treaded tyre? That's a strange combination. This is one of the default... This is the all-wheel drive default configuration that I had to play around with. So this is a strange selection of tyres for the car. That may also not help it. Might explain why the oversteer was going on with it, to be honest with you. The front end's got a lot of sort of sticky tyres, lots of grip. The back end doesn't have that to match it. It gets chucked about. It certainly gets chucked about across there. Whoopsie. Come on, Subaru. Into the spinners we go. We should not have the level of damage that the spinners would be a problem for the car. I say yet. We may see if the alignment and steering continues to get worse around here. The spinners are always a potential serious hazard. Oh, have we lost the spoiler now? Is that going to come off? No. Oh, there it goes. Oh, we have got a problem. We've lost the front right axle. That means we're going to lose drive to the front of the car, I should think. Oh, I'm kind of surprised. We don't really see that very often. We don't really see the axle break on impact. Not in that way. Like a wheel ping off, maybe, but that's just... I don't know, that's weird. That is very weird. It wasn't even a particularly heavy landing on that side of the car, I wouldn't have thought. And it's still got steering, which is even more unusual. Normally, if you snap it, you lose the whole lot in one go. You don't just lose drive. Well, I mean, this is the plus point of the all-wheel drive, is that we do still have more than enough power, momentum, and so on to keep the car going. The concern now is we are rear-wheel drive, and we have big alignment issues with the beginnings of big alignment issues with the rear of the car. That's going to make this difficult to drive. So it's not going to want to go in a straight line necessarily, or it's going to occasionally veer randomly. We get through turn... if we can get through turn 1, you can carry speed across the that speed bump section, and it doesn't affect the car so badly. Lower speed is actually worse through there. Interesting. Oh, snappy oversteer machine wanted to get the better of me. It did not. And again, snapped sideways. Oh, that looked really bad for one of the rear wheels. That did not look good for the rear right wheel. What damage has that done to the car? It's pushed the rear wheel up. Can it still drive? Has it pushed the rear wheel? It's definitely done something bad to that rear wheel. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear indeed. Okay, so now we're kind of... I don't even know what we're skating around on. The back of the car is all manners of broken. It feels like maybe the whole axle's coming loose at the back. It's definitely all manners of twisted. I mean, it's still trucking along. It's more than fast enough to not get counted out. I am very worried going into the spinners now, though, because I don't have much control over this. The wheels that are being driven are at horrific angles. Can I actually get this car through here? It's going to be the turning left part. We can. We make it through the spinners, even though the car is crabbing horrifically around here. Oh, it's going to clonk and clonk, and I don't really have... I've got to just try and keep it together. I don't have enough control to really avoid a lot of this, a lot of the hazards. Because it's just whatever I can do to keep the car travelling along in a useful direction. It's getting worse at the back of the car here. We're heading up over the jump. Oh, I don't want to land on that side. I don't really want to land on... I want to be able to land flat and level and so on, but I'm not sure that's going to happen much longer. I mean, it still moves. This is the thing. The SVX is not out. It's down. It's poorly, but it is still continuing to move. I'm not sure about the distance indicator on this. I don't know. Oh, come on, car. There we go. We are... I mean, we made good time for the first couple of laps. It's just it landed... Well, it hit the rocks, and that's what did it. It twisted something, and it's just got much, much worse. Can we get up towards Dover? I mean, we're still keeping the speed up enough. It's still enough to not get counted out. Oh, mud. Get through the mud. There we go. We're fine. Oh, dear. It's such a wreckmobile, but I'm not giving up with the Subaru here. We can keep going for a while at least. How much further, I do not know. It's got... it's surely going to have issues on the speed bumps now when we hit them. The speed bumps, all the water are going to tear something. I mean, the checkerboard, we could maybe sneak our way through the corners of the checkerboard and get away a little bit, but we might not have the steering to be able to do the... sneaky lines down there. Can it survive the impacts of these landings here? It's still 30 miles an hour across the jumps. Oh, radiator's leaking. That's the least of my concerns. If we make it to the point where this overheats, I'll be astounded. It's crabbing horrifically. Oh, okay, we got lucky. It bounced over the speed bump there more than anything. I can't pull the car away from the wall. It's going to climb it. It's fine. It can do that. You don't really need to steer through turn 1 because it naturally just crabs its way. Amazingly, it's skated across the speed bumps. I don't know how. This is not good. Oh. We've lost both front tyres? I mean, weird, but don't care about it. Literally, again, much like the radiator going, least of concerns, that one. What are the rocks about to do to this car? Now that is the big concern. The rocks and the checkerboard, because the car's so damaged that it's basically scraping on the floor, which on the tarmac is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. The rocks that stick out are going to catch the underside of this and do bad things, I suspect, to the car. Oh, well, we've ploughed into it. Can we actually get the car going? We may be in trouble here. Now, we do allow the vehicles to get pulled out if they get beached. So the reason being is that, well, incredibly low-slung sports cars can get into trouble just naturally around here. So we do generally allow them to get a little assistance on the beaching side of things. It looks like this might actually drive itself out. Possibly. Okay. I think the car deserves perhaps a little... We'll give it a little bit of a pull out of here, but I mean it is on the limits really of what it can do. Oh, I thought I put the camera back. I haven't. It may struggle to make enough speed to carry on. We can get across. Oh, no, it didn't matter anyway. We can get it to the checkerboard, but it snapped the drive shaft. Yeah, the rocks killed it. Well, the rocks did the heavy damage, twisted all the rear out, twisted all the axles, I think, broke suspension. The car was basically running on the floor, and with that, yeah, you just can't survive around this circuit. Even if we pull it clear a little bit, if it gets stuck, just the next obstacle immediately snapped on the drive shaft. So, an impressive performance, nevertheless, from the SVX, but that is one dead Subaru. And the final vehicle to run around the course. Now this is the Bartow F2. It's a slight different version to the one that we ran before that was a little bit unlucky. I say it was a bit unlucky. It went around its business, it got, well, a kind of a lapish in and just randomly caught fire, which I wouldn't have expected to see, and I don't quite know why it happened like that. Now, we may have the same thing going when we run this kind of Daytona-style Barstow. Maybe it'll happen again. Maybe it was just incredibly bad luck that the vehicle spontaneously combusted on the landing of a jump. Don't know what caused the fire. It wasn't a petrol tank rupture, which is normally what sets the cars on fire. So it's obviously something else went. We'll have a go with this one and see what happens. It's potential to be quite a strong car around here. Although oil pan damage might come up, and overheating. If we do lose the radiator, this is quite a fast version of the car, so if we do lose the radiator, it'll probably overheat quite quickly. We have got the water, it does cool it a bit, but we'll have to wait and see, really, on all of this. The good old Wobblematic suspension is, well, funnily enough, quite helpful. It will just about get turned through there. It's quite a long car, this. Wobblematic suspension is good in as far as it's quite compliant over that. You can actually see it across the speed bumps there around the carousel. It's shaking, sure, it's shaking the wheels and the axles quite a lot, but it's not actually putting a lot of that force into the chassis, which is good. What we have seen, the radiator's gone, but what we have seen in the past is Wobblematic suspension is great up until it fails, and when it fails spectacularly, and you're in a world of pain. So, yeah, if we get that far, in fact the rear left looks a little suspect on this, if we do get that far we could be in trouble. I have got concerns already about this very high performance engine in the car, giving us some grief. Oh, I mean, we're hitting on the left hand side again a little bit here. But that's well, I say that's okay. It's not great, but it is holding for now. Oh no! We lost the top of the wing. The actual supports, they're fine. The struts have survived, no issue at all, but the main body of the wing, that's gone walkabouts. The car is shuddering and shaking its way across the jumps there. And the door's popped open. Yes, all the bodywork is falling apart, but there we go. We'll have to see what the... Ooh, concerns steering, big concerns on the landing there. We've lost the front bumper, well, the front nose cone, yeah, nose cone and bumper, sort of a whole lot has gone. Not that really matters anymore, the radiator's already snapped. There is suspension issues going on in the everywhere, I think. The car handles like utter garbage now, so we have got problems. Now, radiator failures, they can vary. Sometimes they can be small failures that take a long time to drain all of the coolant out. Sometimes they're just catastrophic immediately. And then, of course, we never know quite the effect of the water on them. This did not get much cooling going through that water, so that's not really ideal. It's not ideal, and the car is proving difficult to drive. That combination... Oh, I'm just looking at how much that rear axle is shaking. I'm not sure that's going to hold. I think it's going to overheat, unfortunately. I say it's going to overheat, unfortunately, before the rear axle dies. The rear axle does not look well held anymore in there. The temperature is creeping up quite a lot. If we can make it back to the water, we might be okay here, but it's got a long way to go on basically a maxed out temperature gauge. Is this engine going to be tough enough? Some engines can do it. Now the plus point this car has is it's so powerful that I have to drive the vehicles as hard as I can in this series, but this engine is so powerful I can't really drive it hard on the dirt because I'll just spin. Oh, head gasket's going. This is bad news. This is very bad news for the Barstow as it smokes heavily coming off Dover. This is the worst place for it to get all of the temperature because it's basically got to go the entire way round, tearing itself apart. The oil is overheating. Come on, car, if you can just make it back to the water, maybe we can cool you. We have had cars, I don't think it's going to do it. The engine is really dying. The exhaust is gone, don't care, just makes it a bit louder. The screen is full of smoke, rod bearings are gone. That's a huge twist in the air, that's a big problem. That's a huge problem for the car now. I don't know if we can actually move the car. I don't know what on earth has gone on with that debris. The engine's blowing up anyway. It hit that jump and it was just twisting and twisting. I think that was the suspension damage really that did the worst of that. The engine was going to give up regardless. And that actually took a huge bite out of the front corner. Even if we ignore everything else, that front... Oh, I forgot my no grab is really, really... It's only like 50%. I'm surprised it's that strong. What is that? I don't know. I tried to pick it up by the chassis so I could see the... Oh, that was the bit that was wedged in the wall. We actually sorted out that. But the whole front corner just got completely eviscerated. It's all gone in there. There was definitely a fair amount of suspension damage on this. So it was unlucky. I was a little bit unlucky with the radiator perhaps going as quickly. But it was getting very hot regardless. Yeah, it was getting very hot on its own. Radiator going when it overheated quickly. Suspension was completely knackered. So yeah, that probably wasn't too long for this world anyway, but not quite as spectacular a failure as it could have been, although a big shunt into the start-finish gate. On to the leaderboard, and the Subaru does pretty well. It goes into a 24th place. Ignore the distance, it got a bit broken. Once the car's axles and wheels were all twisted up, the counter went haywire, but that's not a terrible showing from the vehicle to make it as far as a fairly spectacular failure as well for that car, but it beat sort of Cherry with the trailer, the Piccolino convertible, I-Series Group B car, so yeah, pretty good showing. Pretty good showing for that. Now we have to go a little bit further down to find the other two vehicles that ran today. I mean, they actually conked out at basically the same point. The Barstow with its overheating engine, although the suspension was failing on that vehicle quite spectacularly as well, only after a couple of laps. The Legron Derby car, well, that was the engine seized, basically. The oil pan went, the oil fell out. It was overheating as well as that, which certainly didn't help matters, but yeah, not so good for the Derby car. I did expect that to last a fair bit longer, but there we go. That is going to be it for this episode, and I shall say now that the next episode is going to be the final episode on this circuit. So if you do have requests for vehicles you would like to see and so on, please do leave them in the comment section and we'll try and have a go with those around this track for one final time. That though is going to be it for this video. I shall link all the mods used in the description, of course, so you can download them and have a go with them yourself. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.